The Ford Crown Victoria. You can launch it off a cliff, hike down, fire it up, and it will still drive away as if nothing happened. The Crown Victoria was unfortunately discontinued in 2011, but in this video, we're going to bring it back to life with a brand new design. Let's get to it. Hey, it's Sketchmonkey here and welcome back to the channel. If you haven't checked out the front redesign of this Crown Vic, I'm going to link it down in the description below or up here in the corner. I've always been a fan of the Crown Vic. It's one of these cars that are extremely capable, but they don't really need to shout about it. It's dependable and it's got your back. We didn't have access to these cars in Sweden when I was growing up. The closest European equivalent I can think of would be the Volvo 240. It's simply a steel tank that will never let you down. I remember being at a street race once as a kid, and they had this V8 swapped to Volvo 240 there, and this is a common thing to do since the engine bay is the size of a small living room and only houses a 4-cylinder stock. Anyway, the 240 was parked on the street and behind it comes a Honda Civic in full speed, and for some reason the driver of the Honda forgot how to use the brakes and slammed into the rear of the mighty 240. The driver thankfully was happy to walk out of his tin can, but the length of the Honda was pretty much cut in half. The owner of the Volvo seemed way too chill for what had just happened, and I soon realized why. He jumps in the car, fires it up, and creeps forward just a few inches, and you can hear scrap falling to the ground as the two cars separate. This scrap, of course, all belonged to one car, and that was the Honda. As the Volvo comes to a stop, I can barely see any damage on the car. It's crazy. The bumper, yeah, it sure has a few scratches on it, but that's about it. All the lines are still straight and all the surfaces are still very, very smooth. I remember this because me and my brother keep coming back to this story from time to time over the years, and to me, if we compare the Volvo 240 and the Crown Vic, to me they are pretty similar. You just don't mess with them. This has to do a lot with the platform the Crown Vic is built on, namely the Panther platform. And yes, there is a kitten behind me playing right now, so if you hear any noises, that would be it. Hey, what? Are you crazy? Anyway, this platform shouldn't have been in production for as long as it did, but the government kept on buying Crown Vics, and it stayed in production for an insane 32 years. The Panther platform and Crown Vics are still popular among city cab drivers and cops. The reason being, the body can take a lot of punches, but the frame will still remain intact. The body was separate from the frame. You can put a Crown Vic and a lesser car in the same kind of crash test. Both might look total to you, but chances are that the Crown Vic is still drivable. It takes a lot to damage the frame and put it out of commission. So let's talk about the redesign that we're doing right here. What is going on and what exactly are we doing? I think the Crown Vic is a pretty handsome car. It's stylish, simple, and most of all, it's very, very functional. It's like a Volkswagen that we talked about last video. Everything needs to have a function on this car. It's wide and low, and it almost feels flat in some regards. The hood in the trunk creates a huge flat surface with the greenhouse just sticking out in the middle of it. It's a classic American design. And this is what I want to keep in this redesign. The proportions of the car will stay the same. If we change those, it becomes something else. It kind of becomes a Taurus, and we don't want that for this redesign. The car has large surfaces that are interrupted only by trim pieces that were common for the time. Modern cars don't really have these. which means we get clean, large, empty surfaces all along the side of the car. To break these up, we want to add some defining key lines, and these are the shoulder line, for example, and the base line. The graphics in the rear needs to be completely redesigned as well, and instead of having a convex feel like we have on the standard Crown Vic, everything just kind of bulges out. I want it to be more concave, with the rear lights sitting inside of the body. LEDs are of course a must if this is going to be a 2020 model. And I want to have the LED strip resemble the original shape of the rear lights of the Crown Vic, with some modifications to them, of course. They need to be smaller because that's kind of the trend today, to have smaller lights both in the front and the rear, and they need to be more defined as well. And in between these two lights, I want to have a light bar, and this is of course a massive trend right now, and it also emphasizes the width of the car and gives it a nice presence on the road. Overall, redesigning this Crown Vic here, it's all about taking what's already there and figure out how those pieces and details would look today. That's the easy part. The hard part is making sure all pieces play well together and create a harmony and flow. Looking at this redesign now as we go along here, I'm almost finished with it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. We still have this classic Crown Vic proportions to it, which means that we have a long, almost like a platform, and then we have the greenhouse just sticking out of this platform in the middle, but everything, there are a lot of flat surfaces on this design, which I really like, and it gives the Crown Vic some character, and that's one of the key things when it comes to the proportions of this that we can't really change. And I was thinking about making this into an electric car, but that just doesn't feel right, does it? Make the Crown Vic into an electric car, it doesn't suit the the identity of the car, so I kept the two exhausts down there, just implemented a different style of a diffuser or whatever you want to call it, some plastic trim down there to make it look more modern. Same with the wheels. I usually don't go for chrome wheels or high polished wheels because it's just not my style. But in this case, it doesn't really matter what my style is, because this is the style of the Crown Vic that we're talking about, and I think these wheels, they fit the Crown Vic well, they suit the car, they're not too complex, and they look kind of classy and stylish at the same time. I also really like how these taillights came out. It looks like it has some depth to it, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to have, so the LEDs are the piece of the lights that are furthest out, and then behind the LEDs, sitting deeper inside of the lights, are these panels, the red panels that light up when you, for example, hit the brake or something like that. And that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed making it. I'm the Sketch Monkey, take care, and I will see you in the next video.